Chapter 9, Enhancing Learning with Text and Visuals by Rhonda Bell. Text in the Classroom. Text literacy has two aspects. The first is the ability to comprehend the text, the ability to be able to understand and evaluate a written message that's given. The second is to be able to produce the text, the ability to write about what they've learned or something that they've experienced. There are two types of text in the classrooms. The first is literary. These are your stories, your poems, your myths, your dramas. The other one is informational. This would be your textbooks, your nonfiction, your history, your social studies, and your science. Now, there are lots of advantages for having text in the classroom. The first is availability. Text is everywhere. There's so much text that you can use. You can bring in magazines, newspapers. It's not just books, comics. It's flexible. You can use different things. You can use a magazine for so many different purposes, or a newspaper for so many different purposes. It's not just for advertisements. Portable is, you have mobile devices that you can read your stories on. It's user friendly. If you It doesn't require any special efforts to be able to read it and to navigate through a lot of these texts. And kids can personalize it. You can use highlighters. You can change the font. You can change the color. So there are lots of advantages to being able to having text in the classroom. There are some limitations to text. The first being a reading level. You may have a really great book, but it's not on your student's reading level. The next may be vocabulary. Some books will have really, really advanced vocabulary, and some books will be lacking vocabulary. The next one will be one-way presentation. Most of our books are not interactive. Curriculum determination. Oftentimes, books are selected to support state and local curriculum instead of supporting the student's needs. And the cursory appraisal, many committees do what we call a 5-minute thumb test. So it's very important when you're trying to choose text for your classroom to consider all the advantages and the limitations that there are when selecting your text. Visual literacy is the ability to be able to interpret and create visuals. For younger children, visual literacy is more literal. They sometimes have difficulty determining the differences between realistic images and drawn images. By the time they're 12 years old, when they're shown an image, they can summarize, they see the whole big picture. Another thing that may pay a difference in interpreting the images is cultural differences. If you show students that live in a rural area an image of a home life of someone in the inner city, those two different groups are going to see those images and interpret those images differently. The next part is to be able to create. In order for the students to be able to create, they must be able to sequence. So they're going to need practice putting visuals into logical sequential order. And one of the things that you can use that is really good for helping them practice the sequencing is when they're writing, when they're reading, let them do all sequencing, or you can let them use PowerPoints and put pictures in logical sequential order. Visuals in the classroom are readily available. Visuals are everywhere. They're in textbooks, computer programs, and most instructional materials. And you have a wide range of curriculum area and grade level material that is covered. And it's easy to prepare. Um, you can prepare your own visuals and displays, and many times the curriculum and the textbooks that you have will give you ideas on different visuals that you can display to help to teach whatever you're covering. Pinterest is also a wonderful place to get lots of ideas, and many of those ideas that they give you are free, and it's a lot of stuff you already have around the house. And it's inexpensive. It's very little cost. A lot of it is free. Um, Another thing that visuals do is it simplifies complex ideas. The old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Sometimes when you're having trouble seeing something, you can just see a picture, then it helps you to be able to understand it a whole lot better. And it's easy for the kids to use. If they have visuals on the wall, then they can go back and refer to it and know, okay, this is how I do this because that is what the picture said. Or okay, I can't remember how to do this problem. Oh, well, there it is over there. And the visuals, they really help. The visual also can be interactive. There are many days when you make anchor charts with the kids. You can make graphs with the kids. You can collect data, like what was your favorite um, activity you did over the summer, and graph that information and use that for a lot of different things. And all the students have an equal view of it. It's not something that is put somewhere in the back of a book where one child may have access to and another child may not. They are all on the same playing level. They can all see it all at the same time. There are some limitations to visuals in a classroom. One is that the visuals are usually two-dimensional, and when you're handling talking about something like solid shapes and you show them a picture of a sphere, the kids are not going to be able to really grasp just from that picture what a sphere is. And so that is one of the limitations. Also, sometimes people may put up too much on one visual. If you have a poster that just is very busy and has a whole lot of words and it doesn't really focus the children on one thing, then that can be hard for a child to be able to use. Um, Sometimes you have that bulky hardware, those old projectors that has to be put on a cart and pushed around. Um, Sometimes they can be really big and bulky and that could be a problem. And then is expense, like the smart boards. The smart boards are wonderful visuals to use a document camera and to be able to put things up on a smart board and have children to be able to share some of the things that they're doing on a document camera on a smart board. But if the smart board light bulb goes out, then that's $300-400. So expense for some of these visuals can be a problem. Um, but those are a few limitations, but I think the advantages far outweigh the limitations. Visuals can provide a concrete reference for ideas. On your computer, you have many icons that we use as visuals to help us navigate our computer. We have a trash bin, internet browser, we have Facebook, Twitter, we have all of these other things that we use to help us, these visuals that we use to help us navigate, and we know what they are. Visuals can also help make abstract ideas concrete. The model of DNA, when we see that, we automatically know that that is DNA because that's what we've been taught, that's what we've been told, even though we've never seen DNA before. We also in our classroom can use diagrams for word endings, and these will help our children to be able to decode words and put words together. Visuals can also motivate learners. If we know something that our children are interested in and we use that in some of our visuals, then that's going to create personal interest, and the children are going to be more willing to pay attention to what we're trying to teach. Visuals can help direct attention. Many texts use colors, words, they use arrows, they highlight the words that the important ideas that they want you to know with different shadings, bold print, and animation. Visuals can be used to repeat information. If you're teaching something, you can tell the students, you can write it down, and then you can use a visual so that the children are able to see it in a different way. Visuals can also be used to recall prior knowledge. For instance, if you're learning about owls and each day you're learning something different about owls, then you can create a chart and you can go to the chart before you begin today's lesson and you can review the um the information that we have learned prior to today to lead into what we're going to be learning today. Visuals also can reduce learning effort. If you're trying to teach a very difficult subject and the kids are having some difficulty, for instance, if you're teaching the parts of a flower and how they work, you can use a visual such as a diagram to help the kids to be able to better understand what you are teaching. There are 6 types of visuals. The first is photograph. Photographs are good to use if you're teaching something. For instance, let's say you're teaching sea turtles and you want to show children what a real sea turtle looks like. Then you can show them a photograph of a sea turtle. Drawings are good when you're teaching and you can just go to the smart board and you can draw something on a smart board, or the children can express themselves in drawings. Charts are wonderful to use. They help you organize things. They can be chronological. You can classify things on charts. Graphs can be used to represent numerical data. Posters are wonderful to use because they use the line, they use the color, they use words, and posters are things that really draw someone's attention. Cartoons are another type of visual. Children love cartoons. If you can find a way to put something in a cartoon, then you will have those kids' attention. Creating your visuals. There are lots of planning tools that you can use. One of the planning tools that you can use is the PowerPoint slide. If you use the older version of PowerPoint, it comes with Microsoft Clip Art, but the newer versions don't come with the clip art, but you can still get some of the clip art online. Storyboarding is a great way to organize your thoughts. And index cards are very good to use too. Kidspiration is a fun way to do it, and a lot of computers at our schools still have Kidspiration on it. Making your letters, you can use markers, crayons, pencils, coloring pencils, almost anything you want. You can also buy them at the stores. When I first started teaching and we bought the letters, we had to use something called rubber cement to glue our letters down. But now the letters actually come with the sticky on the back, so all you got to do is just peel and stick. You can use construction paper and cut out your own letters. At our schools, there's a paper cutting machine called the Ellis machine. Those come with their letters. They come with the letters. They come with shapes. They come with numbers and different symbols. And there's another machine that teachers use called the Cricut. The Cricut is a great um, tool to use. You can go online, you can buy cartridges, you can create a whole presentation online and then just put your paper in a Cricut and it just prints out for you. I use Pinterest a lot online. If you go on Pinterest, there are lots of great ideas to help you to be able to create visuals. So this is the end of my presentation, and have fun creating your visuals.